This is the Own It Show, where we tell stories of how everyday people made ownership theirs to create extraordinary success.
Welcome back to the Own It Show, Couch Conversations. I'm Justin.
And I'm Elise. Welcome to the show.
So guys, I know that if you're new here, you probably have come across us for a multitude of reasons. One, you're an entrepreneur. Two, you run your own company. Or three, you're looking for ways in which to dive deeper into the way in which you experience life. And if anybody has ever looked at The Secret, or you've read the book The Secret, or you've heard about the law of attraction, I'm sure it's maybe made you tilt your head or question it, or really say, how can I apply this to myself? And so for us, what we were fortunate to be able to do is go out and get a leading expert in that field. Go out and get somebody who truly understands it and the science that comes along with it, and how it can ultimately transform not only your life, but how you experience every single thing in your day-to-day world. And so without further ado, Michael, I'm so excited to have you on, a fellow Canadian, but also to learn about your story and how you ultimately got into this work that you are so passionately doing and influencing people in today.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. My name is Michael Losier. Again, I'm the author of this book, Law of Attraction. I self-published it 18 years ago. It cost me 97 cents to print this. And you'll say, wow, it's pretty thin. I went to the post office and I said, how thick can a book be before it doesn't fit inside a mail slot? They gave it to me. I went to the bookstore. You know how thick a book can be so it fits in the mail slot? 144 pages. Listen, I live on Gilligan's Island. It costs a lot of money to send mail from here. So, you know, and my goal is to sell like 100 books, right? Make sure it fits through a slot. And so for a year, I was doing teleclasses. You're too young to know about that, but this was before Clubhouse, where people were doing conference calls and teleconferencing calls. And I owned a company that listed people's classes just like Clubhouse. And it was a catalog of authors and speakers and trainers. And I would train them how to teach on the telephone. So my career started teaching law of attraction using accelerated learning techniques. It's teaching to all the styles. So, and now after 18 years, I'm doing it again on Clubhouse. And I'm bringing training to Clubhouse because a lot of people don't train on Clubhouse. It's mostly conversation. So my rooms are training rooms. And I know how to engage all the four styles. People take notes. Did you take notes when you heard me on Clubhouse?
I sure did.
Sure did. You could not take notes, right? So I feel like at home again. And you know, in between now doing stuff on Clubhouse and 20 years ago, I've traveled the world 3 times. I sold 3.7 million copies. It's published in 37 languages. And now I am staying home in beautiful Victoria, BC. And honestly, I'm having a second career in law of attraction. Yeah. I'm working with the publisher. We're updating my 144-page book. We've added, they've asked me for 18 years if I wanted to make any changes. And the only thing I ever change is the picture, because I have this old mustache picture. I never changed a word. And then this time, they kind of weren't asking. They were saying, we rarely reach out to our authors, and we want to make your book a bestseller again. And we want to change the format, and we want you to give us some new stuff. Of course, I resisted. I thought, no, it's a classic. So I'm talking to my agent, Liza, and I said, oh, Liza, I don't know if I want to change it. This is a classic. She said, if you write 4 new chapters, I'll resell it to 37 countries. And I said, what's the due date? What is the due date? But what nobody knows, I hope they're not listening, is that, you know, this is 18 years old. You don't think I've written stuff outside about this, inside out, upside down, with many stories. So I had a whole training that I did was how social media influence your vibration. They loved it. Chapter. And then I have another chapter, and it was already written. It was how to hold a 5-session law of attraction group put that in the book. So everything that they've been waiting for, I already had done. Potentially was a big deal. So you're going to see this resurface again after 20 years. I'm pretty excited. You know, I'm one of the top 10 Canadians for the holding a best-selling book, and hardly anybody knows my name except Oprah. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention her name too. Anyway, I think I answered your question somewhere in all of that.
I love it.
You absolutely did. And congratulations on the amazing success you've seen.
Thank you.
Michael, could you take a minute or two? And for those listeners who I know you've sold millions of copies at this point, so probably a lot of them are very familiar with your book, Law of Attraction. But could you take a minute and break it down for those who may not be familiar with your book?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, the word law of attraction is new for some people and not new for others. Thinking, yeah, I heard people are using that. Yeah, I don't use that. Guess what? You're already experiencing it. Whether you like it or not, or believe it or not, or understand it or not, you're already experiencing law of attraction. How do I know that? I'm going to give you a list of expressions that we use, and when we use them, we are defining evidence of law of attraction. When I say, hey, this is such a coincidence, I was just thinking about you, evidence of law of attraction. Or how about synchronicity or serendipity or fate or karma or kismet or good luck or bad luck or everything fell into place. I know that you've said that before. This is such a coincidence. Hey, I was just thinking about that yesterday. Now it's on TV. Every time you said that, and you know you have, that's evidence of law of attraction. You didn't know it had a name. So here's the good news. You're already experiencing it. You don't have to turn it on. It's already on. And it being law of attraction. Law of attraction is already existing in your life, whether you like it or not, or believe it or not, or understand it or not. And it's energy in the room. It's everywhere. I can't even prove it. I'd love to put it in a petri dish and a test tube and say, hey, now do you believe me? I can't make people believe it. But what I can do is teach them how to deliberately manipulate law of attraction. That means deliberately send the right vibration. So within a day, 2 or 3, they'll say, you know what, this is so weird. I was just talking to Michael about this the other day, and look, it showed up on here. And then we said, this is such a coincidence. In other words, that's my goal, is to give people a little tool today that they can practice that. So I'm going to summarize everything you heard me say. You're already experiencing law of attraction. You don't have to turn it on. It's already on. So what is law of attraction? Well, it's energy, but it has a 2-word job description: match vibrations. Well, that's an easy job. And you know what it says in the subtitle? No brain required. So right now, imagine that you have a vibe. And what's a vibe? It's a feeling. A vibe is just a feeling. Sometimes you'll say, hey, wow, this room's got a great vibe. You're just describing the feeling. He's got a negative vibe. You're just describing the feeling. And in the vibrational world, there's only 2 kinds, negative and positive. And right now, you cannot not have one. Right now, you have a vibe. And you're either sending or emitting a positive vibe, or you're sending and emitting a negative vibe. Everybody knows that experience. When you're ticked off and angry and guilt and blame and shame and bitterness, even without doing it, you're sending a negative vibe. You don't say, well, am I ever ticked off? I better send the vibe that goes with it. No, when you're having those we can stand beside somebody, pick up their vibes. A vibe isn't something that you smell or see or hear or taste. It's something that you feel. And then you could be feeling love and appreciation and gratitude and success and abundance, and you're feeling great. Now you're sending a positive vibe. There's not one in the middle. So right now, you're sending a different degree. You could be content or super elated. They're still on the positive side. Or you could be slightly irritated or super off. That's on the negative side. But right now, you and me, we're all on that dial somewhere. And why is that important for us to know? Because law of attraction is responding to the vibe that you're sending and matching it. It's not smart. It doesn't know whether that vibe is good or bad for you, or whether you want it or don't want it, or whether it's health. It's eavesdropping on the vibe that you're sending, it being energy. And now it starts to unfold and orchestrate the day to bring you more of the vibration that you were sending. And it's not very smart. So for some of our business friends, they might wake up first thing Monday morning and get a cancellation or contract get ended or canceled, and they say, oh, I hate when this happens. And then they start a clubhouse. Who else hates when clients cancel? And there's a whole conversation out there. And later they tell everybody that all day is all they did was give attention, energy, and focus to the canceling clients. And law of attraction is responding to that vibration by doing what? Another cancel client, then another one. Then what do we say? What's going on? This is the third one today. Oh, you're on a roll, all right. It's called a vibrational roll. So when it happens and giving it more attention, law of attraction is not smart. It's eavesdropping when you're complaining about it and telling people about it, and having a conversation about it, cursing about it, remembering about it. Law of attraction isn't smart, it's obedient. Same thing happens when maybe there's a good experience, maybe you've got a new client or a network or a great podcast guest, and you told each other, hey, guess what happened? And in that conversation, you were giving attention to something that you liked. And law of attraction was checking and checking and checking, was eavesdropping on the vibration of something that you were talking about that was successful. And then it unfolded, orchestrated, and then it happened again. So look at this, it's another one today. It's the second one today. We're on a roll. Yes, you are. It's called a vibrational roll. I hope everybody heard my point. Law of attraction isn't very smart. It's obedient. So what we have to do is mind our vibration. Wouldn't it be ideal if we had a vibrational meter reader on our phone? Oh, I have an app. It's called I'm going to scan my vibes and see what they are. There's only two kinds. It can't be a difficult app. So I'm in a real mood, boy. What vibe am I sending? I'm going to scan, and here's the app. Okay, that's a negative vibe. My vibrational meter reader is picking up a negative vibe. And now I'm excited about this interview and about my life and about this and about that. And I'm going to get the vibrational meter reader. Now it's going to go ding, 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 ding. There's no such thing as a vibrational meter reader on your phone or an app for it. But all of you have one within you. All of you have an internal vibrational meter reader. You already have something that's metering and measuring your vibrations, and it's called your feelings. Your feelings are the indicator whether you feel good or don't. Your feelings are the or I like that. And whatever feeling you're having is what law of attraction is responding to. There. Did I answer it? Was that a question?
It was the perfect answer to the question I asked.
Now, Michael, as you get into this, and you've brought such clarity to the fact that we have control of our vibe. We have control of what vibrations we're putting out there. What happens?
The only thing, well, it's the only thing you can control in your the only thing you can control in your whole life is your vibration. And that's good, because if you don't like it, control it, change it. If you want to attract something purposefully, then purposefully change it. It's such power. We have the ability to change a vibration, of course, by what we're giving attention to and what we're talking about. So I just want to make that point bigger than you are. It's like yes, and this is the good news. And it's the only thing we can change and control.
You're exactly right. And the first time I came across the law of attraction, I still remember I was 21 years old. I had just watched The Secret, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to put it to the test. And so I sat there right after reading it, and I said, I want a red ball. And I didn't know where I was going to get the red ball. I didn't know what the red ball was going to do. I was playing hockey at the time, and I didn't specify what red ball it was. I didn't say when I wanted the red ball. I walked out of my door, and I will never forget this because it brought tears to my eyes. And I was like, oh my God, this is magic. I got into my car, I drove to the rink, and sitting in my hockey stall in my locker was a red lacrosse ball that our trainer had given to me to basically foam roll out some kinks. I was like, oh my God, there's the red ball. And I picked it up, and I was the most excited kid you could imagine in this hockey locker room. Everyone looked at me like I was crazy. Like, it's just a lacrosse ball, man. Like,
welcome to my world.
Yeah. And so it was ever since then that I committed to figuring out more and more and more about this. And so when you're talking about controlling your vibrations, controlling what it is that is there, what steps do you usually give people, or how do you guide people through this to be able to say, okay, you've recognized that your vibes are giving you that voice, that negative side. How do you consciously take them from that area to change their vibes, to change ultimately the role that they're on?
Okay, good question. So we're going to work backwards a little bit. All the results that I'm getting, negative this, negative that, positive this, clients, customers, people on the street, everything that I'm receiving is matching the vibration that I'm sending about it, even people. The response that I'm getting from anybody is matching the vibration that I'm sending about them. Everything that I'm getting is matching my vibration. And vibration, of course, meaning vibe, meaning what I'm giving attention to. That's part of that formula. So that came from the vibe that I was sending. And there's 3 words that when we use these words, they cause us to give attention to what we don't want. We don't mean it on purpose, but just these 3 words, when I use them, now I'm giving attention to what I don't want. I don't even mean to, it's just in my conversation. And then when I give attention to what I don't want through my words or my eyes or paying attention or reading or writing and just talking about what I do want or don't want, that causes me to give it a feeling. You know, it's a myth when people say you need to give a feeling for it. That's not true. I attracted 4 interviews with Oprah Winfrey and I didn't know what that felt like. How do you know what it feels like if you haven't had it yet? The myth is you need to get a feeling for it. Here's the reality. You need to give what you want attention, energy, and focus. And in doing so, it causes you to send the vibration of it. Hence, you're giving it a feeling, but you can't get a feeling for it. You have a feeling for it. Understand the difference?
Yes.
So that's what, so that's when you take a look at what you're getting. It came from the vibration. These 3 words cause you to give attention to what you don't want. The first word is don't, not, and no. So the words don't, not, and no. That's something I'm going to show you here. You see, every time I use the word don't, not, and no, I just gave attention to what I didn't want to give attention to. So go to Google and type in no football. Do you think hockey's going to show up? No. You know what's going to show up? Football. Really? You're not sure? Go type in no pink elephant, see what shows up. Every time you use the word don't, not, and no, you just gave attention to what you didn't want to give attention to. And as you give anything attention, this is you, everyone. This is you and your vibe. This is your vibrational bubble. When you give attention to what you don't want, when you use the word don't, not, and no. When I say I don't want this, I just included that which I didn't want inside my vibration. I could not. I don't want my clients to cancel. It's a perfectly good sentence, but when I don't want my clients to cancel, I just included the vibration of canceling clients. Law of attraction doesn't know what I want, it knows what I'm vibrating. It doesn't know what's good for me, it knows what I'm vibrating. So when I use the word don't, not, and no, it caused me to include the vibration. Try it out on Google. Type in no football, you're going to get football. Google strips away the words don't, not, and no and brought you what you said you didn't want. Law of attraction is vibrational Google. The input that you give law of attraction, if it includes the don't, nots, and no, that's the input. It's so Google. It's so Google. Google will say, these are the hits that I found on the words that you gave. So, well, I didn't want that. I'm looking for hockey. And if Google had a voice, it would say, then ask for it. You don't order a pizza and tell them all the things that you don't want. See, you're good with the pizza. You don't say, oh, you don't tell them what you don't want. Boy, but when it comes to your goals and dreams in our lives, we're always talking about what we don't want. Now, when I say I don't want my clients to cancel, I just gave attention to clients canceling. I don't want this date to be a disaster. I just preceded the date before I got there. I don't want to bomb on this interview. I do not want to bomb on the interview. I just preceded the bombing on the way to the interview. You know when the interview started? In the car, on the way there. I was recently interviewed by a golf pro and he said, what does this have to do with law of attraction? I said, everything, because the golf game starts in the car. I said, what do you mean? I said, what do golfers tell themselves? Oh, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. I don't want to be slippery. I don't want it to fail. I don't want to lose my balance, blah, all the don't, nots, and no. The golf game started in the car. So here's your homework. Well, first burn this image, burn it, look at it, burn it, look at it, burn it. You cannot not remember this for the rest of your life. And every time you use the word don't, not, and no, I want you to hear my voice, see the sentence, stop the car and write it down. So what do I want? Don't forget. Oh, shit, I just said don't forget. What do I want? Remember, right? Did anybody type this week? Don't hesitate to contact me. Oops, so what do I want? Contact me soon. This is not a scam. Anybody hear scam when I said that? This is not a scam, so what do I want? Oh, this is a great opportunity. You will not be disappointed. Oh, so what do I want? You're going to be excited. And this is for all the parents. Don't spill your milk. So what do you want? Drink your milk carefully. Don't forget your homework. What do you want? Remember your homework. Don't beat up your brother. What do you want? Play nice with your brother. Are you understanding the point here? Every sentence in the whole wide world that has the word don't, not, and no, even a big department store, don't use this door. You know what I want to write underneath it? So what do you want? You know what the sign would say? Use that door. Don't park here could say park over there. Every sentence that has the word don't, not, and no can be relanguaged. And that's your homework between now and the rest of your life. Today, if you go to type in, don't hesitate to contact me, your baby fingers are gonna go backspace. Well, what can I say? This is how you reword it. You know, people think I'm in the business to help people be more positive. That's the result, but that's not the business I'm in. I'm in the business to help people to become less negative. And the best way to become more positive is to become less negative. It's a math equation. The best way to become more positive is to become less negative. You know, when people talking about raising their vibration, what a jargony word that is. Why don't they say it like me? What if my dial was on 1 to 100 and I raised my dial so I'm at the top of the dial, which is my favorite spot ever. It's a lot of words to say. Vibrational harmony, you know, wanting to be high in the dial. So I'm just going to recap everybody's homework. Every time you hear yourself type, read that, ask yourself, what do you want? And here's what happens. When you go from what you don't want to what you do want, the words changed, right? Don't forget, remember, oh, I don't want to bomb on this interview tomorrow. Oh, what do I want? You know what? I want to go in with confidence tomorrow, you know? And now the words change. And now the words change, the vibration changes. All of this, because you said it earlier, the only thing we can control is our vibration. We have the most extraordinary ability to be able to reset our vibe with a vibe reset button. And the way you reset a vibe, I know it sounds easy, it's right here. You can reset your vibe by eliminating and reducing these words, and you will catch yourself using them over the next couple of days. And you're going to not like me for about 2 days because you're going to say, holy S-balls, am I ever using the word don't, not, and no a lot, at 10 times a day? No, some people are using them 300 times a day and wonder why their life sucks. You're about to find out. But here's what's going to happen. Probably maybe within 2 days, you're about to say, don't forget. And even before you said it, you said, remember, and you're gonna say, I just did it. I just got converted. Because you know what my goal today is to brainwash you, is to wash your brain of these 3 words. Would that be okay if I brainwashed you so much so that you caught yourself using the words don't, not, no, and the very moment that you do, you cannot not hear my voice say, so what do you want? And then when you go from what you don't want to what you do want, the words change. Now you're sending a new vibration, and now law of attraction caught you sending a new vibration. And the best news of all, law of attraction doesn't remember what the vibration used to be. It's only responding to the current vibration that you're sending in the moment now that you've done your reset. The best way to become more positive is to become less negative. And the best way to become less negative is right here. Yeah.
And like you said, Michael, it is that simple. Changing your language, removing the don't, not, and no. changing your vibe from negative into a positive.
That's right.
Now,
And
clearly.
I just want to say the couple that vibrates together stays together, right? So when you guys are on this, you're on the same vibe. If one of you was into it and one of you wasn't, then that's where friction happens. Friction with other people means you're not on the same dial. Remember I said it goes from 0 to 100? If you and your spouse are both on 30, even though it's negative, you're in vibrational harmony. It means you're being harmonious with each other, even on -30. But if you're both on 90, guess what? You're in vibrational harmony. But if not you, another couple, if one's on 90 and one's on 50, there's lots of distance on the dials. And the distance between you and somebody else equals the amount of resistance you feel when you're with them. Lots of distance, lots of resistance. No distance, no resistance. Go ahead. That was a little sidebar.
No, I love that. And obviously Justin and I always try to be in the same vibrational harmony because we can certainly tell when we're not.
That's right.
One of the things I'd love to hear from you is clearly the law of attraction is something you've been experiencing your entire life, because as you said, everybody is either in a positive or a negative vibe at any given moment. Talk to us about the story of how the law of attraction came to be.
Well, here's a story I'd love to be able to tell. You know, I'd love to have the story for you. I was hiking in Egypt and I went inside this Egyptian pyramid and I saw a piece of parchment paper rolled up like a scroll, and I pulled it out and there was messages on it for me to share. Wouldn't that be a nice story to tell?
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
And it was the Lord speaking to you and saying, this is
Yes.
this is
I'm
your
the
purpose.
parchment paper finder. You, my son, are the parchment paper holder finder. But, you know, I grew up big, like, and I'm a big guy, so I grew up fat and chubby. So I was bullied a lot, even when I was young. I didn't know what it was called, but I knew the relationship between not wanting to be bullied, worried about being bullied. Am I going to get bullied? He bullies me, they bully me. And then guess what? Captain Obvious, I would be bullied. And I would see that. When I worried about it, it happened. The conflict for me was, you know, I grew up Catholic and went to church and all that other stuff, was why would I attract negative things? So it was so conflicting for me. I'm a nice guy, I'm kind, I'm generous, I'm my parents' favorite, without a doubt. But yet I'm attracting bullies. I didn't like that. I didn't like that about, and of course, nobody in my family could explain that. Nobody can explain that. And then I remember going to junior high, same thing, worried about being bullied on the first day. It happened. And then I befriended somebody and they were different like me, you know, not to mention that I had a mindset that was different because I was really positive and I didn't like being around negativity or negative language. So I noticed when I was thinking about being with this friend at lunch or whatever, we were just young, that excited me and I felt good about it. And then guess what? The bullying dissipated, but I never really knew why, right? I just knew there was a pattern, worrying about bullies. And then even all through my working career, right up until I was about 25 or 30, I was the positive guy that you wanted to talk to. Even when I worked for the government, everybody else had signs in their office, you're on catch, you're on my last nerve and blah. Everybody was just always so, and my office said, behind every complaint's a request. And it made everybody tilt their heads, right? They said, well, what does that mean? I said, well, if you're here to complain, tell me what the request is. And I said, well, it's hot in here. I said, well, what's the request? I said, can you turn up the heat? That was just an example. And people like that, you know, instead of going into someone's office, said, you're on my last nerve, don't push my buttons. And like, I made people think, you know, and then even early on, and then I studied NLP as well, neuro-linguistic programming. And then I had one of these in my office. Well, that was bewildering. But what was funny with the government, I worked there for 10 years. I was a closeted law of attraction guy. And people would come into my office and I would teach them about knots and no's and vibrations. And, you know, 20 years ago, they were dirty words, right? Vibration, vibrational, you know. And even if we got together in the lunchroom, it was like a secret. Nobody ever said, okay, we all know. No one ever said that. It was all one-on-one, because I could talk to you and I could talk to Elise, but never the two of you together in public about the subject. So that was interesting. And people loved working for me. You know, I was very uplifting. I understand human behavior through my NLP, and I knew to put people to the right task. And yeah, I'm not sure where that story went to, but yeah, so it was even with the government. So I understood that. And then I started doing things on creative visualization. I was always different and weird. You know, I didn't fit in a lot of places. And then I started going to spiritual churches, spiritual centers rather, like positive living centers. And then I went to Seattle in 1991. And I went to see a seminar, and it was Esther Hicks who talks about law of attraction. They were the people that brought it to the forefront. Although I have books from 1906 and 1913 that reference law of attraction. Are you kidding me? 1906, 1913, and then it was silent for about 30 years. And then Esther Hicks Company, they started to talk about it. And then Brian Tracy and other leaders. And so it was weird. Even when I was coming out, it was weird. But it was also an underground, very interested in this underground market. So that's when that changed my whole life in Seattle. And my friend from Vancouver said, do you want to go to Seattle to watch a seminar? Because I think you really like it. And he said, if you don't like it, just leave on the break and come back to the hotel at the end of the day, and we'll take the ferry home. So I get to the seminar, and there was no notebooks, and you know, because I like that, and no notebooks, and no seminar, no flip charts, nothing. It was just chairs. And within the first hour, I heard the most important sentence in my whole life. And on the ferry on the way home, I thought, that is the answer. So law of attraction, remember, I would know when we attracted positive things, we would call that law of attraction. But when it was negative things, what's that? Why would the universe do that? Didn't make sense. So the definition of law of attraction states, I attract to my life whatever I give my attention, energy, and focus to, whether negative or positive. So that's why it's called the law. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. The law is you get what you vibrate, period. The 2-word job description for law of attraction is match vibrations, period. So I don't have to defend the law. I don't have to help people understand it. That's the law. That is the rule. You get what you vibrate. So I came back to Victoria, and I was with my friend Linda, who was also into NLP. And so in NLP, you learn a lot about human behaviors, how to teach things, how to make things into worksheets. So you saw that in my book, right? There's models, there's worksheets, there's graphics. My book is not text. Yes, there's hardly any text. It's worksheets and pictures and graphics and, you know, all, you know, this stuff. It's all full of this kind of stuff, because I'm making sure that I'm teaching with all the 4 styles. So, well, I forgot the point that I was making. Oh, so my friend Linda and I got together, and then we start talking about, you know, what was known in my book now as the clarity through contrast worksheet. And in NLP, we learned the term that is called reframing. It means to take a look at something negative and look at the other side. And she said, well, this is just reframing. So what I was able to do, and I've done really well, was take law of attraction, merge it with NLP, and teach it as a process. So with all due respect to The Secret, it was a very inspirational movie and book, but not a lot of processes, not a lot of steps. It was very encouraging. By the way, I was asked to be in it twice, declined it twice. So my book is the how-to book, and I'm not really a writer, but I'm a good program designer. So my book is really a seminar. It's a full day seminar with all the worksheets, all the examples, but I made it into a book. I added characters and check off lists and all that other stuff. So my friend Lynn and I, we got together in my home, her and I, and then we were starting to use some new verbiage. You know, we're using the word like vibes and manifestation. And listen, I was weird now, 20 years ago, super weird using these words. But you know what? You got to throw a lot of people up against the wall to see who sticks. And a couple of people say, oh, I like that. What does that mean? What does abundance mean? Like people would hear a word that today they're not foreign. 20 years ago, they were foreign, right? So people, I said, well, you know what? We're talking about law of attraction. Hey, it's Sunday, come to my place on Sunday. Cue a year later, 44 people in my living room with lawn chairs and cushions. And you know what happens when you have 44 people come to your house you got to take lead. You got to take charge. I thought, okay, well, I got to start having an opening and a closing. And they're bringing notepads. Oh, yeah. So that's what happened. Linda and I would talk about something and then I'm developing stuff. And then people would come back and they bring more people every Sunday. It's like church. Meanwhile, I had a binder this thick of people giving me their examples and things that I said and drawings of that I described, like real talented people. I had a big file folder. I call it a binder, but it was like a big puffy file folder. So I'm still working for the government in Victoria, and I went to see a speaker, and it was at 7 o'clock. By the way, if you're still here and at 7 o'clock, you're not leaving, okay? It's Gilligan's Island. There's no bridge. If you're on the island at 7, you're staying. So I thought, you know what, and Victoria is the most beautiful city in Canada in my head. So people like to visit it. So I said, hey, do you want to go for a walk after the seminar? And we did. And when I was with the government, I was the trainer. I was in front of the room doing training. So that part was easy to me, but it was the message, right? So I said, oh boy, I'd love to get on stage like that. And he said, well, you know, he didn't know much about me. He said, well, if you had a book, it would be really easy. You could speak anywhere. I'm thinking, I have a book. I'm a government employee that lives on Gilligan's Island. Give me a break. But on the way back, I said, you have a binder. So I took a year and I made the binder into a seminar. And then I taught the seminar 57 times in 1 year. And then I spent another year polishing it. You know, when people say self-publishing, it's different now. Self-publish means you do everything yourself. I chose the cover, I chose the title, I chose this, I wrote that. I hired someone to do all the graphics. I had it typeset, I had it proofread. That's what self-publish means, you do it all yourself. Nowadays, that doesn't really happen. So meanwhile, I had all this information, and earlier I said I was starting to do teleclasses. You know, I had a company that listed these teleconferencing classes. And every Thursday night, while my book was being put together, I was doing a teleclass every Thursday night for a year. I'd come home from the government, get set up, get on the telephone conference call, and people would be bringing people in. And I was having a guest spot on network marketing companies, like, you know, 300 and 400 people on the line. And the very first website, and I still have it, is lawofattractionbook.com. That was 20 years ago. It was weird even to have a website, right? But I said, hey, and by the way, the very first thing I did 2 years before I needed it was the cover. I did the cover, all 3 of my books. I did the cover a year in advance. This was 2 years in advance. So when I'm on the phone call, you might have heard me say it on Clubhouse, right? I get everybody's attention. I said, oh, if you want the class notes from what you heard about Law of Attraction, go to lawofattractionbook.com. And they would go there. And on that page, I wasn't collecting email addresses because that was unheard of. But it did say, if you want to be notified when the book is ready, let me know. And I was getting like 100, 200 people emailing me, and the cover was the only thing done. So fast forward, I got my books printed. So now I'm not working for the government anymore. I finally left the government after 10 years. I transitioned. I was doing seminars. My book was almost out. I was doing seminars and getting like 100 people out at $99, which was a big deal. You know, that was like once a month. So I took a faith leap. I left the government despite hearing everybody's voices about pension and blah, you know, all that stuff that people try to hold you back. So then I got these printed in Winnipeg at Friesen's printer, Canadian Mennonite printers. They were just the best service ever. And they were cash on delivery. And then I had a credit card. I didn't have a lot of money. I had a blank credit card. And they said, cash on delivery or pay on delivery, you'll get them Thursday morning. And I found that out on Friday. So on Sunday, I sent an email out to everybody. I said, hey, my books are going to be arriving. I'm just letting you know that it's ready. They're $21.95, really, for a soft covered book. You know why? It was the only book in the world with the word Law of Attraction on it. It was hot. Now there's 1,000 of them, and now it's $9.99. But it was nice when I self-published for $21.99, and it cost me 97 cents. And it fit in an envelope that fit in the door slot. So I sent the email out thinking, oh, I hope they buy it, hope they buy it. And that was Sunday night. I woke up Monday morning and I thought I had a virus. You got a new sale, you got a new, and it was like a ticker tape. It was going, you got a, and I thought, what? And I sold every book to everybody on Sunday night. So then the books arrived, and then the reality set in. You have got to mail 5,000 books. So I had my friends over and we had a big book party. I had gotten envelopes and, I would sign them, somebody wrapped them, the envelope, and we did all that. And then it was dead quiet after we mailed them because everybody that knew about the book bought a book. And I thought, okay, now I'm going to do some local stuff now. I'm going to, now that I sold my books. And then about 3 days later, the vibration hit the fan. And people were emailing me saying, can I get a 10-pack? I don't have 10-pack. I have none. I have no books. People wanting a 10-pack. People wanting a box. How many is in a box? I had to go look in the garbage for a box. I had none. 76 came in a box. They wanted to buy it by the box. That happened over and over. So I thought, this book that I thought I was going to print once. So to date, 3.7 million copies, 37 languages, interviewed 4 times by Oprah Winfrey, had my own radio show on the Oprah Winfrey Network, and never had a business card until 2 years ago.
And it's clear law of attraction has been working for you ever since.
It does.
As we near the end of our time here, you said at the beginning, we said, it's going to be a shorter session, and you said, nope, I had 4 with Oprah, and we may get to a point where we're going to have to invite you back a second time.
Before I've lost the story. The Oprah story was fun too.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I do want to ask you, and this is something we ask all of our guests, is in a quick word or a phrase, what to you does ownership mean?
Well, I've been thinking about that question, and funny you thought it'd be a short answer. Really? It took me 33 minutes to answer 3 questions. So ownership to me, and I'm going to go back to your word, is owning it. And you know what I had to own my whole life? I had to own my power. I had to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go on stage. I lost friends. I lost relationships. I lost people that used to match me that don't match me anymore. And I had to, and now I'm doing some other stuff. I'm doing the emotion code where I'm healing people's physical pain live on Clubhouse. And I had to own that. Even my friend Julie, she said, you got to do some emotion. I said, no, just law of attraction. She said, when are you going to come out of the emotion code closet? And I said, I am. She said, no, you're not. And now on Clubhouse, to date, I've worked with 462 people. 100 of them, I deleted their physical pain within 3 minutes each. 100 of them, I helped delete a specific food or drink item, everything from Coke and Pepsi to bread and cheesies and all that other stuff. So I'm always faced with owning that and thinking, am I going to own it or not own it? And then even with the emotion code, I thought, you know what? You've lived half your life. You have another half left, and it can be different. You can own your law of attraction. You can own your life. You can own all of that. You can own your healing skills. And as I say that, sometimes to own stuff, I have to give myself a little hashtag. Hashtag IDC.
I don't care.
I don't care. Hashtag I don't care. And that's the other voices when I want to own something. Hashtag I don't care. That's probably the meanest thing you heard me say today, but that's my power. That's my boundary.
I love it. I love it, Michael. Where can people find you? Where can people get access to you and learn more about your book and, quite frankly, the power that you've decided to own?
Yes, well, thank you. If you're on Clubhouse, I am loving Clubhouse because it's my arena. It's training and teaching. So I have lots going on in Clubhouse. You just slap a .com on the end of my name. I'm really easy to find. Or you can go to lawofattractionbook.com. I could go on all the stuff that I have, but just go snoop around, lots of stuff. And today was pretty critical training. And my hunch is people would be taking notes and making sure they got the words, the don't nots and no's. And my voice will be in their head for a while. That's my style.
I love it. And guys, be sure to go check this out, because the work Michael does is really powerful. And whether you're a business owner, whether you're executive, whether you're a family member, the words don't not know truly impact the way and the results in which you're going to get. And when you're able to change your verbiage, when you're able to change the way you think, change the vibrations that you put into the world, it's truly the only thing that you can control. It is the only thing that you can control.
Right.
And by controlling those things, you put yourself in the power to absorb the power, because guess what? Vibrations are everywhere. Everything is giving a vibration.
That's right.
And by controlling those words, you ultimately control the outcomes. Because remember, success is different. So be different and own it. We'll see you guys next week.